I don't even know anymore. I'm I'm a very patient man, or at least I try to be. Try to be a patient man. But what we're seeing at West Virginia is inexcusable. We definitely can't use the talent excuse anymore because our offense is one of the most talented offenses in the Big 12. Defense, yeah, we lost a few key members, but we had enough coming back, and we recruit at a decent level to where it should not be trash. Maybe, in the 50s or 60s, but we're in like the one teens. It's ridiculous. And I know this is probably going to come off as whining because here's the frustrating thing about being a West Virginia fan right now. People, the thing that people always come back at me with is, it's West Virginia. What are you expecting? You're acting like West Virginia is this awesome brand and that y'all should be doing better than this. You're West Virginia. See, that's what all this has led to, or that's what all this has created. No. West Virginia fans are not used to what we're seeing this year. Even what Dana Holgerson did at West Virginia, that was a letdown. But you can't defend yourself as a West Virginia fan because of what they're seeing on the field. Oh, I bet y'all are regretting running off Dana Holgerson. Well, we didn't run him off. He asked for a raise, and we were like, why? See ya. So he left. Houston. Now Houston is begging West Virginia to take him back. Yeah, talk to Houston fans. They're not happy. So it started with Dana Holgerson, and it's continued with Neal Brown. Absolute pathetic. It is. It's absolute pathetic. Absolutely pathetic. Excuse me. Quick reminder, if you haven't already, we'd greatly appreciate if you hit the like button. Even if you don't like me or West Virginia, the Big 12, or nothing that I talk about. You don't even like college football. It helps the video. It helps the audience grow bigger because the video hits the YouTube algorithm more, gets it suggested more. More people see it, click on it, you grow the audience. So you're helping me and you're helping yourself because you can talk to more people in the comments section. And we greatly appreciate that. It supports this channel and it helps us a lot. So if you do that, we would appreciate that. And of course, if you right now is open season on Gold and Blue Dude. I fully admit that. It is open season on Gold and Blue Dude. So if you want to take a shot at me, or you want to brag about your team, or you want to take a shot at your rivals, whatever, or you want to troll me, make fun of me, or you want to ask me a question, best way to get our attention is the super chat button. It's that little dollar sign that you see in the bottom right-hand corner underneath the comments section. Anything you put in that super chat, we're going to throw it on the screen just like you see my name right there. Golden Blue Dude, and we'll read it and address it the best way we can. And it's a great way to support the channel. We appreciate that a lot. That's what keeps us going full time. This is my job. I don't even know the difference between Mondays and Fridays half the time because I do the same thing every day. It's videos and live shows every single day. This is what we do. So I wanted to vent on West Virginia real quick, and like Shane Lyons should have announced firing Neal Brown like 5 minutes after we got blown out by Texas Tech. Like 24 hours after the loss, that's unacceptable. And we still haven't heard the news. So he's not firing him still. What does this team have to do to prove that you need to fire him? Shane Lyons is proven to be a stupid athletic director. He needs to be fired too. But on top of that, I'm hearing the president of West Virginia University, Gordon Gee, who he's actually a smart guy. All right, he's actually a smart, supporting Lyons and Neal Brown. I'm at my wits' end with this, guys. I am. We have one of the dumbest administrations of all time here at West Virginia right now. Right now. I can't. Okay, at least with Nebraska, last year they went 3-9. They put, I think this was year 4 for Scott Frost as well, and he started off on a bad note. They're like, oh, nope. We gave you the benefit of the doubt last year. You couldn't win close games. And we come out and you can't beat a bad Northwestern. You're gone. That's the way it should be. Why is Shane Lyons, Gordon Gee, and Neal Brown allowed to hold West Virginia fans hostage? Why is that? Why are they allowed to do that? Just because they have power? I am so sick of it. John Waffle, thank you for the donation, says, W can't afford to fire the coach. West Virginia economy is bad. What do you expect? That's the two things don't have, dude, that doesn't have anything to do with each other. It is a big buyout, and you have to worry not only about the buyout, but also the salary of the new head coach. But at the same time, if you don't, then you're condoning the stupidity of Shane Lyons, and you're condoning this terrible effort on Neal Brown. So you have to take the lesser of the two evils. And the lesser of the two evils is eat the buyout, fire Neal Brown. And it's just, this is driving me crazy, guys. Crazy. Back in the 90s, West Virginia would have one great season every 4 or 5 years. Sometimes only a 3-year gap. And then in between, we'd have a terrible season after the great season, and then it got better and better, and then we had a great season again. So you could literally see the cycling. It would culminate in a great season, and we would just wonder, is this the great season that will end up, with us having a major bowl win or a trip to the national championship? Is this that year? Now it's like, are we ever going to get ranked again? West Virginia hasn't been ranked in the top 25 under Neal Brown. West Virginia guy, thank you for the donation, says West Virginia fans deserve better. You're darn right. Jim Wilhelm, hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly, buddy. You need a culture guy. Agree. As long as you chase coaches' names instead of culture, this will be on repeat. Your great history is just that. Yeah, we need that's why I would be okay with Rich Rod coming back. And the argument against Rich Rod is, well, he hasn't done anything since West Virginia. Well, maybe he's just tailor-made for West Virginia, because the culture that he brought in was amazing. The offense that he ran was double-edged. The defense was nothing like anybody saw before. A lot of people see it now, but I'm just saying he was an innovator, and he brought it to West Virginia. John Waffle says it's a fact that West Virginia is losing population. I'm not arguing that. I was one of them that left. West Virginia is actually a top 15 fan base as far as percentage that lives outside of the state. So that is correct. And actually, that's one of the reasons why West Virginia needs to go to the ACC, because West Virginia moving out of states, but they're not moving like cross country. They're staying in the Southeast because there's a great economy down here in the Southeast. So ACC would be right up, their alley. That's like me. I live near Clemson, South Carolina. The only games that might not be drivable for me would be Miami, Boston College, Syracuse. That's it. Pittsburgh is the farthest north I can go, but I did it for the Backyard Brawl, and I would do that every other year for the Backyard Brawl if we were in the ACC. Joey Foster, thank you for the donation, but he says only 8-9 miles to fire Neal Brown. Oh, 8-9 million, excuse me. Only 8-9 million to fire Neal Brown. I can explain. I think several people have said that, except I've seen different numbers. So I would really like to see the breakdown on that. Gregory Krug, thank you for the $5 donation, says from 1990 to 1992, WVU had 3 teams that were not good enough to make a bowl game. The following season, we went undefeated. That's what I'm talking about. 1988, we went to the national championship, right? And then 1990 was okay, or 1989 was okay because we still had Major Harris. But once that the team, the big players from that team graduated, we had bad years in 1990, 91, 92, and then 93 was that magical undefeated season. And then 94 was terrible. We got blasted 31-0 right out the gates by Nebraska. But we built back up. We had a chance to be elite in 96, but then that stupid block punt at the Miami kind of derailed that. I think we finished 8-4. And then the next decent season was, I think, 2000 or whatever his last year was, whenever we beat Ole Miss in that bowl game. We hadn't won a bowl game in forever under Don Lynn. We had a lot of success under him, but 0 major bowl wins as far as New Year's Six bowls, and we had a long losing streak of bowls, very long. So he ended his career on a high note with I think it was a Music City Bowl, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. It could be the Gator Bowl, but I know it was against Ole Miss. But usually it was 3 to 4 years between a great season and the next great season. And yes, you would have a terrible or 2 seasons in between, but then you have the one where you saw the team look much better, and you knew that next year, that's the year you were going to have a chance. The situation that we're in right now is bad. We don't have that hope. 2020 was our culmination, 6-4 in the COVID year. Our best year under Neal Brown. No, thank you. I'm tapping out. Get me out of here. I don't want this. I'll even though I still think that Dana Holgorsen is a horrible head coach, and he's the reason why we're in this situation, and Neal Brown just can't get us out, okay? But Dana Holgorsen is the reason why we're in here. But I think it was, year 5 or year 6, he did have a 10-win season with a quarterback that was Now, granted, we benefited from a good schedule, and only the 2 halfway decent teams that we played, we got stomped. We had 1 good win against a top 10 Baylor. That was it. And then, of course, we got stomped against Miami in that bowl game. But, hey, that was a season that we could celebrate. 10-win season. Things have changed so much, and I don't understand it. We're recruiting much better under Neal Brown, but our players are not showing the effort. They're not. You could see if y'all watched that West Virginia Texas Tech game, you could see the players giving up. I think it was honestly it was after the interception right before halftime by JT Daniels, and that was a good pass. He put the ball where he needed to be, but that defender made an incredible catch off his back feet, straight back, fully extended. I haven't seen an interception like that in college football in a while. I mean, imagine this in your mind, okay? You're running backwards, right? And the ball is coming over because he put it out of reach, and he jumps straight back. Number 1, you got to make sure you make the catch. Number 2, you're hitting the ground with no protection. That was a great catch. I really don't fault JT. But what happened after that, combination of we weren't able to run the ball, and that was one of my keys to the game. We had to run the ball effectively. Well, that didn't happen. And the second thing is our play calling was absolutely ridiculous. What was that? Even when we were down by 3 touchdowns, conservative play calling. And so what happened was the combination of not being able to run and bad play calling, that put that backed JT Daniels into a corner, and he started forcing throws. That's the first time I've seen him starting to force throws. He wanted to win. He didn't care whether the coaches wanted to call a winning game or not. He wanted to win, so he started forcing throws, and unfortunately, it resulted in a couple more interceptions and utter humiliation. 48-10. It's crazy. I'm glad that John Wolf was in the chat, by the way, because he was whenever West Virginia was taking the shellacking from Texas Tech, he was in the chat bragging, well, at least we don't got to worry. We'll smash Louisville. Yikes. Nope. You got smashed by Louisville. That's a bad loss for Pitt. So, that made me feel a little bit better. And Texas got beat by Oklahoma State. So it wasn't a total wash for a day, but West Virginia is trash. Terrible. And maybe there's some Morgantown magic because, honestly, we shouldn't have beat Baylor. That should not have happened. But Shapen got hurt. He dropped the ball. He really didn't fumble. He just dropped the ball, scoop and score, block, point after, and we returned it for 2 points. We won by 3. Maybe we can do something like that against TCU because the bottom line is TCU is a better team. Morgantown is a tough place to win at. So, yeah, that does give us a chance. Oklahoma in Morgantown, I think Oklahoma is the least talented worst, and I'm not saying they're a terrible team, but they're the worst team we're going to play in Morgantown. So I think we have a real shot at beating Oklahoma. This is how up and down my emotional roller coaster is with West Virginia. So after the Baylor game and West Virginia wins, I called my brother. I was like, yeah, we need to get tickets. Let's go. Me and you, we're going to go together. Oklahoma, even if we finish the season 5-7, we're going to beat Oklahoma, and that's a big deal. We haven't beaten them since we've joined the Big 12. So even if we finish 5-7, we have to witness that. Oh, okay, man, we'll do that. And then after that Texas Tech blowout, I'm like, no, scratch that. I don't want to see this train wreck. He was like, are you sure? I'm like, no, I'm not sure. I'll probably change my mind again. I'm just saying, I'm mad right now. I'm just, that's how my brain works. I go by that. I probably don't mean that, but right now we are a train wreck. And it sucks. And there is no fixing it until we fire Neal Brown. That is step number one. There is no, what if we tried that? No, we've tried everything. We have JT freaking Daniels. Guys, think about it. We have JT freaking Daniels, and things are not better. They are worse. And, JT was overrated. Okay, so all of a sudden, JT gets to West Virginia, and he sucks. No. No. Our wide receivers have been dropping catches all year long. Bryce Ford Wheaton is getting much better. He's actually one of the best receivers in the nation. But early on, nobody can catch anything. Sam James makes a great catch every once in a while, and then everything in between, he's Stone Finger James. That's what I call him, Stone Finger James. I don't know. What kind of catching drills are they running in Morgantown? What kind of catching drills? I don't get it. John Waffle says, Pitt is in a good recruiting city. Yeah. That's true. But too bad you weren't able to get Gallagher, who was near that area. Sorry about that, buddy. Yeah, that's one recruit that Pitt fans were mad. Well, Pitt fans and Penn State fans were mad that West Virginia was able to pick up Rodney Gallagher, a top 100 recruit. But you know what? We're so bad, he could flip. If he does flip, I would expect him to flip to Penn State, not Pitt. Sorry, John Waffle. He's not flipping to Pitt. But he might flip to Penn State. You never know. Hey, that's a great recruit. But is it going to translate over to the field? We got one of the best quarterbacks in the nation, and West Virginia is ruining JT Daniels. I feel bad for the dude. We've actually hurt his stock. I actually think that if Dana Holgorsen was our coach, our offense would be good this year. Defense would probably be trash again. But with JT, could you imagine Dana Holgorsen with JT Daniels? I don't like Dana Holgorsen as a head coach, but as an offensive coordinator, dude's good. He's good. If he can settle into a nice, cushy offensive coordinator job, he's going to be fine. But being a head coach, no, he's too much of a loose cannon. He gets in freaking cussing matches with fans, dude. You got to be more mature than that, dude. You got to be more mature than that. Crushing Red Bulls on the sideline, which there's nothing wrong with Red Bulls, but just it goes along with his personality, how he's a loose cannon, uncontrollable, off the chain. Not in a good way either, in a bad way. I wouldn't be against Dana Holgorsen being the offensive coordinator at West Virginia. Nope, I wouldn't. In fact, I think he would be a better offensive coordinator than Graham Harrell. Yes, I do. Y'all can quote me on this one. I think Dana Holgorsen would be a better offensive coordinator at West Virginia than Graham Harrell. I really, really think that. I do. David Cummings, thank you for the $10 donation, says, this is the worst I've ever seen this program. And I go back. I'm right there with you, man. I go back to 1988. It's a mess right now, and there are no answers in sight. Absolutely. Hey, I am right there with you, man, as far as I go back to 1988. The national championship appearance team, that was the first team I ever saw as a West Virginia fan. And I was like, man, as a 5-year-old kid, you're like, man, this is what I had to look forward to. No. That was just a big old tease. That was one of our best teams that we've had of all time, really. West Virginia is not a blue blood. They're not some elite program that can recruit in the top 10 and top 15 every stinking year. That's not who West Virginia was or is or ever will be. But, I was lucky enough to catch that first year undefeated season, and I was able to catch the 1993 season and the 2007 season and the 2000 I'll go back to 2005 season. That was a good season as well. Underrated season right there. Only loss all year was to Virginia Tech, and we surprised Georgia in the Sugar Bowl. Surprised them, jumped out to a 28-0 lead. Of course, they did come back, make it a game. But it took a fake punt for West Virginia to pull it off, but we did pull it off 38-35. And then, of course, we remember 2011 when we blasted Clemson 70-33. So there have been some great moments as a West Virginia fan, but right now it is absolute misery. Absolute misery. Horrible. I don't think that there ever going to be a conversation maybe when playoff rankings start that West Virginia will ever be a part of the playoff discussion. Not necessarily, not even talking them getting to the playoffs, but them being uttered. I think there was only one year where we were even talked about, and that was 2018. But then we got blasted by Oklahoma at home. Well, not blasted, but it was a shootout. We got beat at home by Oklahoma, and that kind of squashed that. I think that's the only time in the history of the playoffs that I remember West Virginia even being in the discussion, and it was for like a week. That was it. So I don't think so. And if it does happen, it's going to be years from now. Like I'm talking like 5 years or more. This is bad. This isn't just, oh shucks, we're down. We'll get them next year. No, if we keep Neal Brown, we will not get him next year. We'll probably be even worse. That's what I'm trying to explain to everybody. I don't have to explain to West Virginia fans anymore because they understand that there is nobody on the Neal Brown bandwagon anymore. Nobody. I promise you that. Nobody. Whoever was left on the bandwagon jumped off after the Texas Tech blowout. 100% promise you that. There was a few that jumped back on the bandwagon after we beat Baylor, but they jumped back off after we got absolutely obliterated by Texas Tech. So there is no support for him. What is Shane Lyons and Gordon Gee thinking? And it goes back to his buyout, right? And the economy in West Virginia is bad and blah, blah, blah. Well, guess what? You're going to be lucky to put 35,000 butts in the seat at Mountaineer Field. Yeah, 25,000. Think about that. 25,000, almost half. Almost half. That's a real possibility. I expect it to happen. This next game against TCU, even though TCU is a top 10 team, I would be shocked if there's 40,000. Shocked. I don't think there's going to be 40,000 at the TCU game. I just don't. So he'd rather lose money by ticket sales and have a losing product and the fans hate him other than just eating the buyout. See, here's a problem. It seems like he's a little bit of a narcissist. He don't want to admit that he was wrong. That's the problem. He doesn't want to admit that he was wrong. Dude, everybody's wrong, okay? For the sake of everybody involved, even yourself, fire Neal Brown. That way we can start the recovery process sooner rather than later. The longer you wait, the longer the recovery is going to take, and the more money you lose. Think about that. Yes, the buyout is huge, but if you eat the buyout sooner rather than later, then you're not losing ticket sales. You're going to get that support back quicker. I am flabbergasted, absolutely flabbergasted. I don't understand it. There are zero reasons to keep Neal Brown. Zero. Other than the buyout. Yeah, I'll get it. Yeah, but the counter to that is the ticket sales. It's not that big of a buyout if you factor in the money that you're losing through ticket sales. And it's a lot of money, guys. It's a lot of money. We're talking probably around over the span of the rest of the season, you could be talking about a couple of $1 million total from loss of fan support, or at least close to it. I don't get it. I really don't. A lot of comparisons have been drawn between West Virginia and Nebraska. Well, at least Nebraska got rid of Scott Frost finally, And then there's well, there went my lid. And then there's Miami. I feel bad for Miami, but guess what? This is only year 1 for Cristobal. So at least he has an excuse as far as what year it was. For Neal Brown, this is year 4. There is no excuses. John Waffle says, there was a lawyer guy you had on, Travis, I think, that said the economy was bad, and that was the reason why fans won't show up. Dude, no. That's why fans won't show up, and they can't fire the coach. Lyons is actually doing the best he can. That is, I'm not saying that is bull crap by you. I'm saying that is bull crap by whoever said that, because whenever West Virginia is good, the economy doesn't matter. It's going to be a packed out West Virginia house to the Raptors. So whoever used the economy as a reason why fans are not showing up, they don't know West Virginia fans. They really don't. I mean, seriously, when has West Virginia's economy been good? Not in my lifetime. And there have been seasons where it was sellout after sellout, especially under Rich Rod, sellout after sellout after sellout. Why? Because we were successful. When West Virginia is successful, 70,000 fans will show up. 70, not just 60, 70. Our record attendance was actually the undefeated season, 93, when a one-loss Miami came to town. They were really our biggest obstacle between us and an undefeated season at the time. And yes, we shoved in over 70,000. And at the time, I think our capacity was like 63,500. Now our capacity is at 60,000. There's no way you could shove 70,000 in there. But my point is, when West Virginia is super successful, 70,000 easy will show up. Easy, no problem. But you got to start having success. So I was surprised that there was over 40,000 for the Baylor game. I think there was like 45,000. And maybe they proved me wrong again, and there's over 40,000 again for the TCU game. But we didn't just lose to Texas Tech. We got blown out. We got humiliated. We got embarrassed. Shane Lyons, man, like, you have that cushy job up there and you're doing the best you can. And out here on the front lines, us West Virginia fans, we're taking shots. We're on the front lines taking shots because we are so bad. And I'm leading the charge, and I'm a big old bullseye for everybody. I'm an easy target right now, and it's your fault, Shane Lyons. Your fault. This is your fault. So I hope you're proud of yourself. Man, because you're putting West Virginia fans, West Virginia supporters, West Virginia ticket buyers, West Virginia YouTubers under the gun. And I can't speak for everybody, but I don't appreciate it. I am sick of defending West Virginia because things aren't getting better, and it's your fault. I mean, the West Virginia Clown was born this year. The Clowntaineer. And sure, that's good for everybody. It's good for entertainment. It's good for this channel. People love it. And I enjoy doing it. But at the same time, it's like, the reason why I'm doing it is sad. It's depressing. I enjoy doing the Clowntaineer. I'm not going to lie. I love doing it. I love being silly and not taking myself seriously. It's fun. You guys are into it. And it's just, it's become a good part of the show. All that part's fine. It's the reason why he exists is what's sad and depressing. The West Virginia Clown, aka the Clowntaineer, exists because West Virginia is a clown show. That is why he exists. So, I mean, subscribers love it. I actually love it myself. But as far as it being a good look for West Virginia and the actual reason why he came into existence, it's on you, man. Shane Lyons, that's on you, man. You have absolutely no idea what you're doing right now. That's on you. All this nonsense that's going on, the blowouts on the road, can't beat a halfway decent team. We got lucky and beat Baylor because we got the ball bounced our way. I mean, we got some incredible breaks. If those breaks would have went to other teams, Baylor would have gotten blown out. If those breaks would have went to Oklahoma State would have blown Baylor out by 30 points. Even Iowa State would have beaten Baylor by 3 touchdowns. But even with all the massive breaks that we got in that game at home in Morgantown, we squeezed out a 3-point win. Sad. Don't get me wrong. I'm a proud Mountaineer fan. Really, I am. I would not have started this channel if I wasn't, because you're exposing, your fandom, and West Virginia is an easy target, and it's easy pot shots. Hey, that's inbred joke. Meth joke. Like a teeth joke. It's easy targets, and I understood that going into this. But you're piling it on, like you're not helping me out at all, man. You're making it worse, man. Dude, admit you were wrong. Fire him. Make him a wealthy man, because he's going to be wealthy anyways. Any way there is about it. And Group of 5, that's where he needs to go. He needs to go to the Group of 5, have himself a nice cushy job, sit back, make millions still. Not as well, maybe not millions, but still hundreds of thousands of dollars, more money than most of us will ever see. So there's no reason to feel bad for Neal Brown. So if anybody is feeling bad about him or about firing him, you don't realize how much money he's making and how much money he's going to be owed and how much money he'll still make in the Group of 5. He's going to be fine, and I wish him nothing but the best. He's actually a likable guy. He's a nice guy, but he's not a good coach. Not at all. I think a freaking gnat got in my eyes, guys. Hold on. Anyways. Moving on. West Virginia needs to fire Neal Brown. And Shane Lyons, if he don't get the job done, he needs to be fired. And if Gordon Gee can't fire Shane Lyons, then he needs to be gone. Whoever can fire on down the line, that's where it needs to start, okay? Now, the playoff committee will be putting out its first playoff rankings sometime next, what was it, November 1st, I think. Anyways, it's next week. Playoffs, the first rankings next week. Who's going to make their debut in the playoffs? Is there going to be a new team that's never made the playoff rankings that gets in? I think there's a chance, guys. I think there's a chance. But a few things need to happen. Well, number one, Tennessee. Who does Tennessee have? No, I do not think that West Virginia should go after Doc Holliday. Not at all. He was okay at best, but no. Give me 1 second. All right, so the next game for Tennessee, because they could be a newbie, is it's not a gimme game. It's not a gimme game. They get number 19 Kentucky at home. It is at home. It's a very winnable game, but it's not a gimme game. Could Kentucky be responsible for keeping Tennessee out of their first ever playoff rankings as far as the top 4? Yes, they could. I don't think it happens, though. Will Levis, I know he's back, and I know he's somewhat healthy, but this is going to be on the road for Kentucky, and Kentucky is definitely not as good on the road as they are at home. But, I mean, this could be a trap game, because their next game is on the road to Georgia. This is going to be it right here, though. I think if Tennessee is to get in the top 4, it has to be this week, because if they lose to Kentucky, they're going to lose at Georgia, and then their chances of appearing in the playoffs are done. They have to beat Kentucky. I think they do. So I think Tennessee is one team that's going to make their debut in the top 4 of the playoff rankings next week. Yeah, Tennessee, the first team. What about the other teams? Well, hold on. Let me go back to I'm going to go down the rankings to because we want to figure out who the newbies are, not the ones that have already been. That's too easy. That's too easy. We need to make this more difficult. So, of course, number 1, Georgia, they've already been in there. Number 2, Ohio State, they've already been in there. Tennessee, already mentioned them. Yes. they probably have the highest potential, and Kentucky has to go on the road. I don't think they can beat Tennessee. Michigan, no. Clemson, no. Alabama, no. Number 7 and 8, TCU and Oregon. Oh. Could West Virginia be responsible for keeping TCU out of the top 4? Well, it's possible, but a couple of things need to happen for TCU to even have a chance. Number 1, Penn State has to beat Ohio State, which is very possible. Number 2, Alabama or maybe Tennessee gets upset at home by Kentucky, so that would actually help Tennessee. They need 3 teams to lose. Ohio State, and these are the highest probabilities probably. Ohio State, Tennessee, and Michigan. Hold on, let me see what Alabama's next game is. I think it's a road game, to be honest with you, or maybe they're on their bye week. Yeah, they're on their bye week, so they're not losing. Let's see. Who does Michigan have next? Is it losable at all whatsoever? At all? Michigan State. No, that's not losable. Michigan State's not losable at all. TCU might have to wait another week. I was hoping to give West Virginia at least a chance to knock out TCU from having a shot. Well, Clemson. Well, no, they're on a bye week too. Dadgummit. Okay, so TCU is not making the top 4 no matter what, unless some crazy things happen. Like, I think Georgia plays Florida. So let's see. Yes. All right. So in order for TCU to even have a shot of cracking the first playoffs in the top 4, that is, they're going to be in the playoff rankings, of course, because it goes top 25. But to be in the top 4, Alabama's on a bye week. Clemson's on a bye week. Michigan plays Michigan State. So those 3 are basically out. So their best chances are if Georgia were to lose to Florida at a neutral site. No, I don't see that happening. I think there's more of a chance. I think there's more of a chance, but not much of a chance, just more of a chance that Georgia loses to Florida rather than Michigan losing to Michigan State at home. I think there's more of a chance, but still it's like less than 5%. The chances of Michigan State beating Michigan on the road, like 1%. So it's just like 4% higher. That's why I kept Michigan off and Georgia in. So Georgia would have to lose to Florida. Ohio State would have to lose to Penn State on the road. That's actually doable. And then Tennessee would have to lose to Kentucky at home. I think those last 2 are actually doable, especially Ohio State losing to Penn State. My question is, with Penn State sitting there at number 13, yes, they have a blowout loss to Michigan, but if they beat Ohio State, is there any possibility that Penn State can make a big enough jump to where they're in the top 4? Because remember, the playoff committee doesn't do, kind of like a week-to-week thing. They start over every week. So they're going to look at their overall resume. They're not really going to look at their ranking all that much, although they might. I don't know. But they could be like, they got blown out by Michigan, but Michigan's pretty good. Michigan's undefeated as well. They got a home win against the number 2 team in the nation. They only have 1 loss. Let's see. Another team would have to lose for sure. Another team would have to lose. There's no doubt about that, because there are still 6 teams that are undefeated above them. So they would need at least like 2 or 3 of those to lose. So I think there's a chance, but they need some teams to lose. I think if the other teams take care of business, the farthest they can jump would probably number 8. I do think that they would jump. I think the playoff committee would have them above Oregon. I really think that. David Cummings, thank you for the $5 donation. Says 2005, I had season tickets and left the Louisville game early. My bad. Oof. I'm kind of mad at you about that, because I wish I could have gone to that game, and you had tickets there and you left early. Are you kidding me, man? Why? I understand that they were down, but man, even the year that we lost to Oklahoma. I think it was by like 2 touchdowns. I always try to stay till the end because you never know. You never know with these things. Unless it's like an absolute blowout and it's mathematically impossible for your team to come back, you have to stick it out. You have to because, you missed an all-time greatest game, man. That's rough. I'm not mad at you. I'm just kidding. But, man, I kind of feel bad for you now because you paid good money for that ticket, and it turned out to be a great game. Man, this stupid gnat will not get out of my freaking eye, dude. Stop. It's so annoying. Why do gnats like eyeballs for it? Sucks. Annoying. All right. Anyways, need my swig of Pepsi. I think the first 4 teams, and I know it all depends on who wins or who loses. So this goes with my predictions. I think the first teams that will be in the top 4 in the first rankings, Georgia makes it. I don't see them losing to Florida. Tennessee makes it. I really don't see Tennessee losing to Kentucky. Tennessee might jump to number 2. Guys, this just hit me right in the face. Think about this. If Ohio State goes on the road and loses to Penn State, which is very possible. I'm actually predicting that. Okay? Ohio State goes on the road and loses to Penn State, right? Georgia beats Florida like they're supposed to. Tennessee takes care of a top 20 Kentucky team at home. Could we be looking at a number 1 versus number 2 in Athens, Georgia in week 10? Holy crap. I didn't even think about that. Cornfed Cover says, I keep thinking Tom Herman for West Virginia. Well, my top 3 candidates for West Virginia are Tom Herman, Hugh Freeze, and Lance Leipold. Yeah, I 100% agree. I think Tom Herman was fired way too early at Texas. The only reason he was fired was because the boosters and Tom Herman didn't get along. The boosters called the shots at Texas. Make no mistake about it. And he didn't want to take orders from them. And that's why he got fired. He had Texas humming, guys. Y'all got to understand that. In 2020, he was 1 play away from getting Texas to the Big 12 championship. 7-3. That's pretty stinking good. He had a 10-win season under his belt. The next year, 8-5. That's not terrible. I know a step back. He underachieved. But then in COVID, 7-3, 1 play away from Big 12 championship. That's a great hire, actually. I think Tom Herman can recruit at an elite level. Excuse me. I think he puts out a great offense, and I think the staff that he puts around himself is elite. Tom Herman would be an absolute dream of a hire. I don't even know if West Virginia has a chance to get him. That's how highly I think of him. There has to be other teams that are trying to get him. It actually baffles me that he doesn't have a head coaching job right now. I guess people don't understand why he was fired at Texas, or they're assuming things. I don't know. But he is out there. He hasn't coached in a couple years. Nebraska, if you're not knocking down the door of Tom Herman trying to get him to come to Nebraska, what are you thinking? If West Virginia doesn't at least make an attempt to get Tom Herman, what are you thinking? What are you thinking? So the things that you want for a new head coach at West Virginia, previous success at a Power 5. Okay. Check mark goes to Tom Herman, Hugh Freeze, and Lance Leipold. Yeah. I know starting quarterback went down and Kansas is starting to come back to earth. But Lance Leipold showed in the first 5 games that if he has his guys out there and they're healthy, he can put out a great team. So all 3 of those check the box. What about recruiting? Hugh Freeze, check. Tom Herman, check. And for Kansas, Lance Leipold, check. Absolutely. As long as one of the requirements isn't butt kissing from the boosters, Tom Herman would be fine at West Virginia. 100%. He'd be fine. I think Hugh Freeze would be a good head coach. The only thing about the guys that I mentioned is you want to get them you want those guys to start with because they'll get you back where you want to be like that. Now, they're probably going to bolt for greener pastures as soon as a bigger name calls, and that's fine, because you can look and try to find your culture guy after that. We have to get out of the basement first. It's going to take a lot of rebuilding. If we can get a guy in here at West Virginia, even if he bolts in 3 or 4 years, whenever a big name comes a calling, that's fine. Just get us out of the basement, and that way we can get our long-term guy in, and he has a nice foundation. He's not dragging us out of the ditch. That's something that a lot of people overlook. Well, go to Blue Dude if you go out and get Tom Herman, or go to Blue Dude if you go and get Hugh Freeze, or go to Blue Dude Lance Leopold. They're not staying at West Virginia. West Virginia's a stepping stone for bigger names. I understand that. I do. I understand that. But they are the names that can bring West Virginia out of the ditch quickly, and that's what we need. And then you can go out and get your guy that's long-term, the culture guy, all that stuff. West Virginia guy. Yeah, you can go get your West Virginia guy. And he has some solid ground to stand on. Jacob Yoho, thank you for the donation, says, I say get someone from West Virginia. I agree with that, but we want to give our guy from West Virginia a firm foundation. That's my whole point on all these Tom Herman, Hugh Freeze, and Lance Leipold hires. They're the guys that'll get us out of the ditch quickly, and then they're probably going to bolt, and then we can get our West Virginia guy. I think in order for us to have long-term success, we do need a West Virginia guy, but right now we need a short-term coach that can get us back to prominence ASAP. That way the guy who is long-term has a great place to start, because right now West Virginia is absolute garbage. Going back to what I was talking about earlier, I don't know why I haven't thought about this. I'm probably actually going to do a video on this. The chances of it being a one versus when is the last time, not counting the national championship, when is the last time we've had a 1 versus 2 showdown in the regular season? Because week 10 has a big time potential of that happening. Georgia's number 1, Tennessee's at number 3, right? Georgia's going to beat Florida. Yes, they will. Tennessee should beat Kentucky. Kentucky's not a gimme win, but they should win, right? And Ohio State could most definitely go on the road and lose to a top 15 Penn State team, a whiteout. Penn State looked good against Michigan at home last week. Not Michigan, excuse me, Minnesota. They looked good against Minnesota at home. That is going to be a home game. So I'm telling you, that's going to be game day. Game day would be there. Even if Ohio State doesn't lose and Tennessee's at number 3, that's still a great matchup. Great matchup. And got something else y'all have to realize. The rankings won't be reflected by the AP. It'll be playoff rankings. So they don't even have to go by the AP poll. If Tennessee beats Kentucky and Georgia beats Florida, the playoff committee could justify, even if Ohio State doesn't lose, even if Ohio State blows out Penn State. Okay, let's say they blow out Penn State on the road. The playoff committee could justify ranking Tennessee at number 2 if they wanted to. They don't owe us an explanation. Hey, we thought Tennessee was the number 2 team in the nation. They have a win over Alabama, and now they have a win over Kentucky. That's the number 2 team in the nation. And then we'd have ourselves a number 1 Georgia versus number 2 Tennessee in Athens, Georgia. And if you saw that one coming before the start of the season, raise your hand. Not me. That would be absolutely crazy. And I would most definitely not put it I wouldn't put it past the playoff committee. Even if Ohio State beats Penn State, I wouldn't put it past the playoff committee of putting Tennessee at number 2. And really, that's only one spot. It's not like it's, oh, man, I can't believe they put Tennessee at number 2 now. They jumped them 10 spots just to make a 1-2 matchup. No, Tennessee's already at number 3, so it's not and if you're an Ohio State fan and that happens, relax, because 1 and 2 have to play each other, so you'll get your spot back. In fact, you could jump even higher. So even that isn't that big of a deal. I mean, I understand if you were upset about that. You just went on the road. You beat Penn State. Tennessee, they only beat Kentucky, and it was at home. And their other great win was against shaky Alabama at home. I would understand your frustration and being upset, but you're going to get it back. If you keep winning, you'll get it back because they're going to play each other. I, for one, would like to see it. I really would. That would remind me of old school college football because I can't remember the last time I've seen a number 1 versus number 2 matchup in the regular season. And I might be an idiot. Gold or blue, you don't remember 2020 or 2019? Because I don't. I really don't. Maybe it was that close. I don't know. It seems like it's been forever since I've seen a 1-2 matchup in the regular season. Can't count the playoffs or national championship. OSU has 5 straight home games? What? At the beginning of the season. Yeah, I mean, if you look at everybody's schedule at the beginning of the season, for the most part, it's cupcakes. Now, I hate bringing up my team again, but West Virginia had at Pitt, Kansas, who turned out to be good. Really, our only cupcake game was Towson. I know we played Virginia Tech, who's not that great, but that was a road game, rivalry game, and then at Texas. So, out of all the schedules out there, ours was probably the least cupcakes, but we still had a few cupcakes in there. So, beginning of the seasons, you're going to get cupcake games. That needs to be done away with, to be honest with you. I understand tune up or whatever, but not everybody gets that. Listen, whatever we choose needs to be across the board, okay? First 4 game cupcake games, all right. First 4 game cupcake games for everybody. First 4 games, tough? Okay, across the board. First 4 games, tough. First 4 games should be tough. There's no balance. There's no consistency in college football. And it gets on my nerves, but, what can you do now? I've heard a lot of arguments for Sean Clark at Appalachian State, but the problem with Sean Clark is he has the potential of being a Neal Brown 2.0. Anybody you name in a group of 5 that has no Power 5 experience, that even if they're having amazing, great success at their current team, they can literally be Neal Brown 2.0. You just can't never tell. I think West Virginia needs to steer clear of the whole group of 5 head coach thing. That includes Jamie Chadwell as well and Sean Clark and some of these other coaches. Even the coach over there at Marshall. I used to know his name. Charles Huff. Yeah, Charles Huff. Nope, don't hire him either. Because you might end up in the same situation. You might end up with Neal Brown 2.0. You want a guy that's had success in the past in the Power 5, and that's why I like Hugh Freeze, Tom Herman, and Lance Leipold. Lance Leipold actually might be my favorite because I like the style of offense that he's implemented at Kansas, and I think that would be perfect at West Virginia. It's basically the same type of offense that Rich Rod ran at West Virginia, except there's an extra layer of the triple option. With Lance Leipold, he has 3 layers to his offense, okay? He has the triple option. So you have the single back, and then it's called A is the quarterback, B is the first running back, and C is the third running back. You can run a dive, you can run a sweep, you can run a pitch, you can run a straight quarterback draw. That's why all the defenses that play a triple option must be gap sound. One linebacker has to have the quarterback. Another linebacker has to have running back B. He's B, but he's not running back B. B. Player B. How about that? And then another linebacker has to have player C. Gap sound. Stay in your gaps. Stay with your guy, right? On top of that, RPO. Huh? Yeah, that means he could pull it from that triple option and decide to run it himself the other way. And I know you can still run quarterback keepers on the triple option, but that's more common with RPO. So that's the second layer. Third layer is they can actually pass the ball. So let me get this straight. With Lance Leopold's offense, as a defense, you have to be ready for the triple option, stay in your gaps. Oh, wait. Also keep your eyes on the quarterback because he can pull it and run on the RPO. Oh, wait. Still be mindful of playing the zone because they can throw the ball. That's very difficult to coach as far as defend. Basically, you have to hope that you're calling exactly the right play to defend exactly the right play. Otherwise, if you're calling a defense to, defend the triple option and they pull an RPO and the quarterback takes off, they're going to gouge you that way. If you call a zone defense for pass coverage, they'll gouge you with the triple option. Then if you call man-to-man to try to cover RPO and the passing, then the triple option and the passing, then they can get you with the RPO as well. So it's a triple threat type of situation. So you have the triple option within a triple threat offense. Amazing. West Virginia would be awesome with that offense. Offense. And it reminds me of Rich Rod. That's why I like it. I just connect the two in my head. Now, he's not a West Virginia guy, so he'd probably bounce sooner rather than later. That's the one thing I don't like about that. But hey, that's okay. That's okay. I understand that. And that's when you can go get your culture West Virginia guy, your long-term guy. Because right now, you go out and get a good head coach, and it's just a stepping stone for West Virginia. Eventually, you're going to need that long-term guy who's loyal to West Virginia. Listen, if this were going the other direction and Neal Brown was having massive success at West Virginia and a bigger name comes calling, he would have bounced. So we were kind of in no man's land as far as this hire with Neal Brown, but we were hoping he would get us back on the right track quicker, and it just hasn't happened. We need to find that guy, set the foundation, then get our culture guy, and have him long term. Otherwise, West Virginia is doomed. Doomed. Is there any team that we can look at that we're like, that team is going to win the national championship this year? Because the last 4 years, there has been that team. And I've said it 1,000 times, but I would say it again. 2018, we knew Clemson was going to win it. The first ever 15-0 team, and we knew it. LSU, we hoped Clemson could put up a fight against LSU, but we knew once LSU went on the road and whooped Alabama, we knew LSU was going to win the national championship. 2020, Alabama. Nobody was going to stop Alabama. We knew Alabama was going to win the national championship. And then last year, the trip up in the SEC championship kind of surprised everybody. But for the most part, Georgia had a historically great defense, and we knew that Georgia was going to win the national championship. Is there any team out there that we can say that team is going to win the national championship this year? No, there is not. Alabama already lost, and they still don't look great. That doesn't look like a fluke. It looks like Alabama could lose again, really, to be honest with you. They still have rough games, except Ole Miss isn't as bad as what I thought. I think Alabama will take care of Ole Miss, to be honest with you. But Alabama looks, I don't know, okay. Not elite. Good, but not elite. Beatable. Georgia, Georgia definitely looks beatable. They had a terrible game against Kent State and an even worse game against Missouri. Georgia's lucky they don't have a loss against terrible Missouri. Ugh. Yikes. Justin, thank you for the $5 donation, says, I like that. Every school is different. Maybe I read that wrong. I like that. Every school is different when it comes to scheduling. If anything, every conference needs to play the same number of non-conference games. I agree with that. That's the one thing that gets on my nerves about the SEC. I see right through them whenever it comes to their scheduling because what they have is 4 home games and 4 road games. That's it. They protect their teams from any extra possible pitfalls or trip-ups. This year, Alabama played a rare out-of-conference road game against Texas and just about got beat. They won by 1 point. And that's why the SEC doesn't like their teams to have more than 4 road games because, I mean, when Alabama loses, it's usually on the road. It's almost always on the road, right? except for 2020 or 2019 when they lost to Ole Miss at home, right? Those road games, they are those trip ups, and you never know when you're going to have a letdown game as well. And I am not trashing the SEC for what they do. Not at all. Do not get this twisted. I am praising them. That is absolutely genius. Absolutely genius. 100%. No question about it. All conferences need to do that. For the most part, if you can break down SEC teams' schedules like this. The first game is usually a non-conference but neutral game. Completely different from a road game. Completely different. Not even close. Hold on. Stevie J, thank you for the generous donation, says 45-21 Tennessee beats Kentucky with authority. I actually agree with that. Go Vols. And if that happens, I think the playoff committee could put Tennessee at number 2. I for one, want to see the 1-2 matchup between Tennessee and Georgia in Athens. I think that would be awesome and amazing and ridiculously fantastic. I haven't seen it in a while. I know 500 people would be doing a live show for that game, and I'm going to be one of them. If it happens, I'm telling you right now, a 1-2 matchup, even a 1-3 matchup, I'm still probably going to do that live show. That's going to be a great atmosphere. I don't know if it's going to be a close game or a great game. It being in Athens, I just don't know. I hope it is, though. I hope it is. But going back to the SEC scheduling, I think it's absolutely genius. Like I said before, not knocking it. I'm praising it. Every conference needs to do that. And the way you break down their schedule is usually they get a non-conference game neutral. It can be against a tough team. Like Georgia had Oregon, who looks really good now, but Georgia smashed him. That was a neutral game. Let me be clear, though. A neutral game is nowhere close to being a road game. Not at all. Not at all. And for Georgia, that was basically a home game. But still, it was a neutral game. There was a lot of Oregon fans there. So for most SEC teams, you get the neutral game. Then you'll get, 2 or 3 group of 5 teams, always home games. And then you start your SEC schedule, right? So you get your home and your away SEC. And then if you didn't get your FCS at the beginning of the year, you'll get your FCS usually second to the last game of the year. And that's pretty smart as well because you're giving your team a break of the brutal SEC schedule. I'm telling you, they're really, really smart. And it's one of the reasons why the SEC has been so successful because their scheduling has been really, really smart. Somebody figured it out, and he just said, we need to apply this to all teams. That's what they've done. And that's why you rarely see an SEC team go out of conference on the road. Now, Alabama did it this year, and it almost cost them. Vanderbilt is a different story. Vanderbilt goes on the road all the time, out of conference. Group of 5 on the road. This year, they went on the road to freaking Hawaii. So, Vanderbilt doesn't count. In fact, Vanderbilt proves my point. Proves why you shouldn't do that. I mean, Vanderbilt's the whipping boy of the SEC. They don't care about them. And yeah, y'all go on the road all you want. We don't care about that. They're not protecting them at all. At all. And I agree with it. I wish every conference would do that. It's smart. And you're protecting your brands. You're removing as many pitfalls as possible. And it's still having the same amount of road games for everybody. So even if nobody has any out of conference games, it still guarantees that everybody's going to have a 4 road games in the SEC. You are guaranteed of that. But, okay, for instance, look at West Virginia. We had 6 road games this year. 6. 4 of them were in conference. 2 of them were out of conference. So if we were in the SEC, that probably wouldn't have happened unless we're scheduling a home and home with Pitt and Virginia Tech, like we've been doing. That's on our own accord. Next year, our out of conference goes down to 1, and I think it's Penn State if I'm not mistaken. But our in conference goes to 5. We rotate. 1 year we have 4 away games in conference in the Big 12. The next year 5. road games in conference in the Big 12 because there's 10 teams in the Big 12, so you have 9 games altogether. This was our year of 4 road games in the Big 12, but we ended up with 2 road games out of conference. Next year, our out of conference goes down to 1 road game, which is Penn State, but our in conference goes back up to 5. So once again, West Virginia has 6 road trips next year. Why? And I understand the whole, we want to play the best. We want to play the hardest schedule possible. No, you stop. No, that's stupid. You're increasing your risk of getting beat. You're not proving your manhood or anything like that. That's a stupid decision. So that's one thing that's very irritating about the West Virginia schedules that come out. No less than 5 road trips. You basically guaranteed 5 road trips. And it just so happens this year and next year, the year that we have 4 in-conference road trips, we had 2 out-of-conference road trips, talking about Pitt and, Pitt and Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech's so bad, I forgot that was a road trip. So we have 4 in-conference, and then Pitt, Virginia Tech, that's 2, a total of 6. Next year, it drops down to 1, but we'll have 5 road trips in the Big 12. I am sick of it. These brutal schedules are ridiculous. I'm sick of it. Stop trying to prove your manhood, and we want to play the best of the best. We want to test ourselves. The Big 12 is pretty good, okay? There's no need to set up 6 road trips every freaking year. That's moronic. It's stupid. Stop. I'm sick of it. And you're not giving your chance. When you do that, you're not giving your team a chance to build up momentum heading into the Big 12 conference play. And that you're just setting yourself up to trip up. Even if West Virginia had a good team this year, still probably looking at 9-3. Whereas if you had a cushy start like the Big Ten usually does and the SEC usually does, you could be looking at a 10-win season or a 10-2 season. That's if West Virginia was good. We're not even getting to a bowl. So that's a different argument. But my point is, you're not giving yourself a chance to gain momentum even going into the Big 12. You're already down and out before you even get into the Big 12 conference play. It's stupid. Think about it, guys. It's stupid. And then you go into the Big 12 and oh man, it gets really tough in the Big 12. Yeah, but you got beat up outside of the Big 12. So you made it twice as hard. I honestly don't get it, guys. I really, really don't. Anyways, but I would like to see the setup where number 2 Tennessee goes on the road and takes on number 1 Georgia in Week 10. Hopefully, no disrespect to my Ohio State fans. I just want to see that happens. The next week, you're going to get your spot immediately back because one of those teams are losing because they're playing each other. So for the sake of the rest of us who haven't seen a 1 versus 2 matchup, we ask you, Ohio State, will you be okay if Tennessee is the number 2 team for 1 week? And then whoever wins gets to claim the number 1 spot, and you get back to claiming the number 2 spot. We greatly appreciate it if you didn't throw a big fit if that does happen. But for West Virginia, lost cause. We're not making a ball. You heard it. I'm predicting it right now. West Virginia. I went from predicting 9. How stupid of a prediction was that? I went from predicting West Virginia to go 9-3 in the preseason because I had nothing telling me that the defense was going to take this big of a step back because it hasn't. This entire time that Neal Brown's been at West Virginia, the first 3 years, the defense has been the bread and butter, kept us in games we had no business being in. And finally, we get an offense because of JT Daniels and Graham Harrell. And I'm thinking those 50-50 football games, that's what's going to push us over the top. No, we go backwards. So we go from a 9-3 prediction preseason, maybe an upside chance of a 10-win season. Yeah, right. Now we're not even going to make a ball. And West Virginia is officially one of the biggest laughingstocks in the entire nation in college football. Speaking of which, stay tuned tomorrow for my bottom top 10. Yes, I haven't forgot about that. And you know who is going to be back in the bottom 10? My team, West Virginia. But the question is, what number are they going to be in my bottom 10? That's the biggest question. John Waffle says they also aren't making the NCAA tournament. I don't know about that. Pitt, you're right. Yes, Pitt's not making the NCAA tournament, but West Virginia actually makes it to the NCAA tournament on a regular basis under Bob Huggins. So that's a little bit of a risky comment right there. But college football, absolutely, we suck. We're not getting to a bowl. Is it time for West Virginia to turn into a basketball fan base? Well, if we keep Neal Brown, yeah, probably. Until we get rid of him and we can get back to at least going 8-4, 9-3, it's tough. Dressing up in the West Virginia gear and pulling for a 5-7 or a 6-6 type of team. It's tough. I can't do it anymore. So we might have to transition into that. We definitely know how Kansas fans feel now. We do, but at least Kansas has basketball to look forward to every year, and their basketball standards are, get to the Final Four or it's a bad season. Could you imagine being a fan base like that? That's some high expectations, but they're so good every year that it warrants it. Jeez. Anyways, I'm going to get off here, guys. I got to start helping the kids getting ready for bed, that good routine. I'm glad that we started this. I know I was late today, guys. I apologize. I had to go to the store and pick some stuff up. But I do like this schedule that we have going on, and everybody knows what time it's going to be. So in case you don't know our live show schedule, from now on, it's going to be Mondays at 6 p.m. I know it was 6:30 today. Had to go to the store, okay? Mondays at 6 p.m. Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Mondays at 6, Tuesdays at 7 p.m. All this Eastern Standard Time, by the way. Wednesdays will be 8 p.m. every week. Thursdays, 9 p.m. every week. And Fridays, 10 p.m. every week. That way, we still have a schedule for every day. It's going to be 6 p.m. for Mondays every single week. 7 p.m. for Tuesdays every single week. 8 p.m. for Wednesdays every single week. 9 p.m. for Thursdays every single week. And 10 p.m. For Fridays every single week. But there's some flexibility. So, maybe you get off your job a little bit later on and you can't catch the 5, 6, or 7. Well, at least on, Thursday and Friday, you can catch the 9 p.m. and 10 p.m.s. And then some people go to work, during that 9 p.m., 10 p.m. Area. So you guys can watch the 6, 7, and 8 p.m. live shows. So we're keeping a time slot open for everybody. So y'all keep that in mind. On the way out, if you would, please hit the like button. Even though we're not going to be live anymore, it still helps the videos, helps it get suggested, helps it get views. Basically helping us grow the video. Greatly appreciate it. Y'all been a great audience today. Shout out to everybody that's come by, stopped by, everybody that's commenting, everybody that hits the like button. All the people that super chatted. We had a generous bunch of donations today. We appreciate you guys. That's what keeps these live shows going, and it keeps us. It helps us to stay doing this live full time. Full time. This is my job. Full time every day. Videos every day, live shows every day. And if I've entertained you and I've helped you forget about your stresses and your troubles, or maybe even the fact that your team sucks because I'm whining about West Virginia sucking so much. If I've made you forget about any of that just for a little bit, then I've done my job and I'm happy about it. And hopefully you're happy about it as well. Y'all have a good night. Of course, new schedule set up. So tomorrow I actually do know when I'm going to see you. And that's going to be 7 p.m. So y'all have a good night tonight. We'll see you tomorrow at 7 p.m. But there's still no hope for West Virginia unless we fire Neal Brown. That's the bottom line, guys.